The backcountry, solitude, heading deep into the wilderness to get away from it all. For many years, this is where I've gone to clear the mind and to contemplate life. As a combat veteran, it has served me well, and it's time to help others.
You silly dog. Hey everyone, it's Mike with Overland Scout back out here in Central Oregon. We are way out here. So we haven't, since we hit dirt, we haven't seen a single person. So I got the Ochicos back here in the background, and they're getting hit with some snow right now. And then I also have a snow front coming over here from the south, headed up north. So I don't know exactly if we're gonna get it here, but I mean, that one's coming right towards us. And there's obviously a lot of stuff over here. So yeah, just another good one. I got a lot on my mind. I got some things coming out here in the next future. So I'm gonna let you guys know about that. I think you guys wanna hear it. So stick around, I'll take you guys along. All right, guys. Guys, so we are in it. This snowstorm just hit. I just pulled up on this hilltop, had a good view, had the drone out there for a little bit, and then I could see it coming, and it took maybe 10-15 minutes. It's coming in pretty fast. So yeah, it's gonna be an interesting night. I think I'm gonna get down to a little bit lower ground. It's not much lower, maybe 300 or 400 feet, but it might be a little bit less windy. You know, the wind might just be from when the front pulled in, so maybe as it kind of settles, it won't be so bad. But it's gonna be a fun night. It's gonna be a cold one. All right, so yeah, you should be able to see the Ochicos way in the distance. You can see one little plateau there, but yeah, it looked nasty coming in, and it sure is thick, and we're socked in now. So I mean, we're not really near a town, but the closest one said 2 to 3 inches. So it's gonna be an interesting night. I'm headed down. I'm gonna get a little bit lower in elevation here. All right, guys, so I found camp. So yeah, sniffed out a few spots as that storm was coming in, and as we were doing that, it just died down. And then yeah, I came across this spot here. It's already got a bunch of firewood, so I was like, oh, that's a good spot. But yeah, that storm came in, and it just as fast as it came in, it left. It is so quiet out here. So yeah, we'll get camp set up, get a stake going, and get this fire going. All right, guys, time for a little fireside chat. Just poured a cup of whiskey, made a little old fashioned. Get warm on the inside. So it's only, I think the Jeep just said it's 32 degrees, so it's not terrible. But that storm came in fast and furious, and just as fast as it came in, it just disappeared. But it dropped maybe a half inch or so. It made it really interesting, and I thought it was going to be the whole night. The last time I was out here, this is an area, I haven't been here in quite a while, but it was a freak storm hit me, and I'm sitting there, I got my fire going, and just, the snow's coming in sideways, and I thought that was going to happen again, but it came and it left, and now it is so quiet. I mean, nobody lives. I mean, this is Central Oregon, right? So nobody lives out here. I mean, as soon as I hit dirt, I didn't see a single person, and it's just so crazy how remote you can get here. So anyway, yeah, I got a lot of things in my mind, a lot of things I've been working on in the background here, and I'll kind of give a little bit of my background. Some of you guys know, I'm a veteran, Army guy, infantry scout. Did the whole squad as a marksman, all that good stuff. Deployed to Iraq in 2005. It was a heavy combat deployment. We were in a lot of bad sectors, air assaulting into different places, a lot of vehicle operations, running around in Baghdad on a little 2-man team and a 4-man team. It was an experience, to say the least. So, I went to school for law enforcement, though, and that's what I was doing back in Illinois. I went to school for it, went to a special academy for it. And but when I came back from Iraq, I ended up moving to Oregon, and I tried a few times, different departments here, and I think just having that experience in Iraq, I was restless. So then an opportunity presented itself to be a defense contractor working UAS operations, and so I got into that. I jumped on it. Went to Afghanistan quite a few times, and was working with 4 deployed Marines, MARSOC, special ODA teams, several of those guys, and just got into a lot of gnarly stuff. Worked my way up from the lowest guy in the totem pole to running operations, and I was running operations there at BougeRv Air Base for the company, and I'm sitting there FaceTiming with my daughter. At that time, I think she was probably 3 years old or so. Yeah, she was about 3, so just not quite enough to understand, but enough to have a conversation with her on FaceTime. So anyway, we were taking a lot of mortars. It was during July. If you've ever been deployed over there, that everything just kind of ramps up, especially around July and the 4th of July. So we're sitting there on FaceTime and we start taking mortars, as we always do. And they're getting close, though. I mean, real close. So the alarms go off and everything. Jump out, check, make sure everybody's okay, everybody's fine. Go back. And I just thought, man, I gotta stop coming out. I mean, this is what my entire life. This is the kind of stuff I wanted to do as far as career-wise. It's just where I came from. This is just what we did, or we were into. So it was a big deal. But I decided, hey, for the family and my daughter, I needed to stop deploying. So stopped doing that. And then I got on. We had some Navy contracts. We had quite a few of them. We were pretty successful. So I got on some Navy contracts, and thinking it was going to end up being safer and easier. I ended up getting into a lot of crazy stuff. I'm not going to mention here, but fast forward, doing a lot of crazy operations. But fast forward a couple years, 5 years, and real close call. If it wasn't for these 2 British destroyers, we wouldn't be having this conversation. So and after that, I was. That's when I made the decision. I was like, hey, I need to stop doing that for the family, and so I took a position at my company, running personnel, had personnel in Afghanistan, I did some Saudi stuff, and just anyway got into the stuff back home, back in the rear, and worked my way up the chain there. Ended up becoming a program manager, and I'm running now operations. Basically all the deployments or operations that I ran, or that I deployed on, and I ended up running all of that stuff there. And the whole time, rewind all the way back to when it started. I got into overlanding. First, it was just a regular car, right? Because I got a nice Jeep now. It's all built up and everything. But really, all you need is a nice rig, a nice little car, put some all-terrain tires on it, or a truck, put some all-terrain tires, and you can do it quite a bit. So I started with that, got a Nissan Xterra, and then that's when I really started, kind of more getting into it. Went down to Utah, did a bunch of stuff there, and solo stuff. But it's just that, in between deployments, I was out here. I got into dual sport bikes there for a while. And in that Nissan Xterra, I ended up getting it was on the way to work, and it was a crazy snowstorm. What was that snowstorm? I guess it was back in 2019. Was it 19 or 20? I can't remember. The one that Oregon just got hit. We got blasted, and so yeah, I ended up getting on a head-on collision, and head-on collision right on the highway. I was going slow, but combined speeds, because he was going so fast, it was like 85 miles an hour. So that destroyed the Xterra, and it put me in a bad way, which I'm still dealing with it, with the neck, my neck and my back and everything. But working through that. But anyway, so I ended up getting this Jeep afterwards, right? And I, to be honest, I really didn't know. I mean, I test drove it. I was going to get a 4Runner. Dead set on that, watching Overland Expedition, right? Those guys. And so I was dead set on it, and then I was like, well, let me just go try a few different things. And so I test drove it. The 2018, the JLs just came out, and man, the moment I got in it, I just knew. It put a smile on my face. Now, I don't get into the whole which rig is better. My thing is get the one that puts the biggest smile on your face and go. So that's what this one did for me, and I had no idea. I ended up getting with Salem Jeepers Club, meeting my friend Scott, and this thing ended up turning out from where it's just me out here solo to bringing Scott, and then running, leading some runs with the Salem Jeepers Club, and then just bringing out other friends and leading runs there. And being out here solo, I'm out here obviously solo right now. You have to do it. I mean, you self-center. You got to learn all the things that allows you to be able to come out here and do that. Then you have self-confidence. So I highly recommend working your way that you feel comfortable being way out here like this. Solo, but when you're out with people, it makes a huge difference just on your life, just having good people in your life, being surrounded by good people. So I recently just went out with Team Overland. So Dustin, shout out to you, man. I appreciate you staying in touch, getting a slot there with the Team Overland on their Memorial Day run. And for me, it just clicked. I'm a veteran. That organization is there to help veterans, with PTSD, reintegration back into society after military service. Not just war stuff, just leaving military service, right? Like, what are you going to do? I mean, I've had so many conversations as a civilian on these ships and deployed. Like, all these guys have skill sets that are just great guys, but they don't know what it's like on the civilian side, right? So just a transition over. And then if you do any kind of war stuff, man, it can be really tough just trying to reintegrate. So that's what that organization is about. Matt, he did a great job starting that. Very similar background to what I have, right? I mean, he did a bunch of stuff, got in this, deploying, doing Marine raiders. I actually was embedded with some of those guys, phenomenal guys. So anyway, he did a lot of stuff, very similar. Came back. He was out here on his own. Doing solo runs, and then it just kind of, it just kind of morphed into, and then he ended up creating that organization. So I'm feeling the call to do that as well. I'm used to running big programs at the company, and I just I don't know, I guess for my life, I've always just been, I have the little tagline, live life to make good stories. I really, truly have been living my life to do that. And so I left my company, right? And just kind of work, what's the next move here? And I really do think it's going to be helping veterans, right? So I'm going to start True Heroes Overland. It's going to be based out of Bend, Oregon. It's going to start out as a Facebook group, right? Just kind of like a club. And it's going to be regular runs. I'll lead some runs out here, Central Oregon, Southern Oregon, wherever it is. We'll go down to Moab. We'll go down to Colorado, Utah. We'll see where it goes. But I want to make an organization similar to what Team Overland's doing. But I'm also a part of the Salem Jeepers, and it's a club run, right? So it's one time, one weekend they got a run down to the dunes. They have another one going to climb buttes. Then they have Browns camp or whatever it is. Every weekend it seems like we got something going on. So I want it to be similar to that, right? But it's going to start, we'll see where we'll start it. It was just Overland runs out here. So, and then also there's a lot of you guys, man. I really appreciate just the core, as this thing grows. I've started out just as kind of a hobby. I'm like, okay, this is actually, it's been really good for me, creative outlet, but just the engagement it's bringing. And so, but I really appreciate, some of you core guys that's, from the beginning, even before, like two or 3 years ago, I had a little break there from, some stuff in life happened, so I had to take a break. But I really appreciate all you guys. So, it's going to be for veterans, and then it's also going to be for, kick-ass civilians, supporters, as Team Overland likes to call them. So anyway, man, I'm really excited about it. I'm really hoping, to meet some of you guys and start making an impact. So yeah, that's what's been going on in the background here. True Heroes Overland. Here we go.